Betrayal in anime is an often overlooked genre. However, when it's done right, it can lead to some of the most captivating stories that anime has to offer. With that being said, welcome to my channel, where I will be breaking down the top 10 anime where the main character gets betrayed but returns an overpowered anti-hero. First up on this list, we have Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. The anime follows the ordinary life of a 17-year-old otaku, Hajime Nagumo, which is suddenly disrupted when he and his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving all of mankind. While his classmates are gifted with impressive abilities that are useful in combat, Hajime is belittled for only gaining an inferior transmutation skill that lacks any real offensive power. During an expedition in the Great Oryx Labyrinth, Hajime is betrayed by one of his classmates, plummeting him into the bottom of an abyss. Though he survives his fall, Hajime is faced with menacing monsters and misfortunes that send him spiraling into a grim nightmare. Desperate to live and return home one day, he resolves to fight for his survival, only to meet an imprisoned vampire he names Yue, who is also seeking to escape the labyrinth. Taking an interest in him, Yue and a few others along the way accompany Hajime on his journey to find a way back home while steadily transforming from commonplace to the world's strongest. Taking up the 9th spot on this list, we have Akame ga Kill. This anime follows Night Raid, which is a covert assassin branch of the Revolutionary Army. The organization is attempting to throw an uprising to overthrow the nation's prime minister, whose avarice and greed for power has led him to take advantage of the child emperor's inexperience. Without a strong and benevolent leader, the rest of the nation is left to suffer and drown in poverty, strife, and ruin. Although the Night Raid members are all experienced killers, they understand that taking lives is far from commendable, and they will likely face retribution as they mercilessly eliminate anyone who stands in the way of the revolution. This merry band of assassins' newest member is Tatsumi, a naive boy who's from a remote village who has embarked on a journey to help his impoverished hometown and was won over not only by Night Raid's ideals but also by their resolve. Akame ga Kill follows Tatsumi as he fights the Empire and comes face to face with powerful weapons, enemy assassins, challenges to his own morals and values, and ultimately learns what it truly means to be an assassin with cause. In 8th place, we have Guilty Crown. This anime takes place in a not so distant future, the year 2039, 10 years after the outbreak of the apocalypse virus, an event solemnly regarded as Lost Christmas. The once proud nation has fallen under the rule of GHQ, an independent military force dedicated to restoring order. On the other hand, Funeral Parlor is a guerrilla group led by the infamous Gai Tatsugami. This group acts as freedom fighters, offering only resistance to the GHQ's cruel despotism. Inori Yuzuriha, a key member of Funeral Parlor, runs into the weak and unsociable Shu Oma during a critical operation which results in him obtaining the power of the kings, an ability which allows the wielder to draw out the manifestations of an individual's personality, also known as voids. Now, an unwilling participant in the struggle against GHQ, Shu must learn to control his newfound power if he is to help take back Japan once and for all. Guilty Crown follows the action-packed story of a young high school student who is dragged into a war possessing an ability that will allow him to uncover the secrets of the GHQ, Funeral Parlor, and Lost Christmas. However, he will soon learn that the truth comes at a far greater price than he could have ever imagined. And at the 7th spot on this list is Yano of the Dawn. Princess Yano lives a life of luxury and ease, completely sheltered from the problem of the seemingly peaceful kingdom of Kokoa. However, the sudden murder of her father, the king, and the betrayal of her beloved cousin, Su Wan, places Yano's life in mortal peril. Forced to escape with only Sun Hawk, who's both her childhood friend and bodyguard, the naive princess soon discovers that Kokoa is not the idyllic place that she envisioned it to be. Poverty, strife, and corruption run rampant, making reclaiming the throne nothing more than a wishful fantasy, given the kingdom's current state. Yona of the Dawn follows Princess Yona on a coming-of-age adventure as she faces harsh realities of her kingdom with only the mysterious legend to guide her. Along the way, she encounters 5 legendary warriors, and together they must discover a way to restore Kokoa to its former glory while being pursued relentlessly by the forces of the new King of Kokoa. In its 6th place, we have the anime 91 Days. As a child living in a town of lawlessness, Angelo Lagusa has witnessed a tragedy of his parents and younger brother having been mercilessly slaughtered by the Venetti mafia family. Losing everything that he holds dear, he leaves both his name and hometown behind, adopting the new identity of Avelio Bruno. 7 years later, Avelio finally has a chance for his revenge when he receives a mysterious letter prompting him to return back to his hometown. Obliging, he soon encounters the Venetti's Don's son, Nero, and seeks to befriend him, using the skills he has quietly honed for the past several years. Set in the Prohibition era, 91 Days tells the story of Avelio's dark, bloodstained path to vengeance, as he slowly murders each of the men involved in killing his family. Making our way to the halfway point on this list, in at 5th place, we have Inuyashiki. Inichiro Inuyashiki is a 58-year-old family man who is going through some difficult times in his life. Though his frequent back problems are painful, nothing hurts quite as much as the indifference and distaste that his wife and children have for him. Despite this, Inichiro still manages to find solace in Hanako, an abandoned Shiba Inu that he adopts into his home. However, his life takes a turn for the worse when a follow-up physical examination reveals that Ichiro has stomach cancer and only 3 months left to live. Though he tries to be strong, his family's disinterest causes a complete emotional breakdown. Running off into a nearby field, Ichiro embraces his dog and weeps until he notices a strange figure standing behind him. Suddenly, a bright light appears, and Ichiro is enveloped by smoke and dust. When he comes to, he discovers something is amiss. He has been reborn as a mechanized weapon, wearing the skin of his former self. Though initially shocked, the compassionate Ichiro immediately uses his newfound powers to save lives in acts of kindness that fills him up with happiness and newfound hope. The same phenomenon also happened to a 17-year-old high school student named Shishigami Hiro. However, unlike Ichiro, Shishigami uses his powers for evil and quickly becomes a psychopath who goes about using his newfound abilities to commit murder, ranging from his classmates that annoy him to innocent families, simply for his own amusement. His acts of merciless cruelty bring him to the attention of the police, who are unable to do anything to stop him. Eventually, Hiro becomes the most wanted man in all of Japan. Because of this, the task of defeating Shishigami rests solely on the shoulders of Inichiro. This anime follows the two men, as their opposing views on morality forces them to clash with one another to defend their ideals. In at the 4th spot on this list is Dororo. The greedy samurai lord Daigo Kagemitsu's land is dying, and he is willing to do anything for power, even renounce Buddha and make a pact with demons. His prayers are answered by 12 demons, who grant him the power that he desires by providing his prefecture with prosperity. But this agreement came at a price. When Kagemitsu's first son is born, the boy has no limbs, no nose, no ears, no eyes, nor even skin, yet he still lives. This child is then disposed of in a river and forgotten, but as luck would have it, he is saved by a medicine man who provides him with prosthetic weapons, allowing him to survive and fend for himself. The boy lives and grows, and although he cannot see, hear, or feel anything, he must defeat the demons that took him as a sacrifice. With the deaths of each one, he regains a part of himself that is rightfully his. For many years he wanders alone, until one day an orphan boy named Dororo befriends him. The unlikely pair of castaways now fight for their survival and humanity in an unforgiving, demon-infested world. Starting off our top 3, we have the Rising of the Shield Hero. The 4 cardinal heroes are a group of ordinary men from modern-day Japan, summoned to the kingdom of Melromarc to become its saviors. Melromarc is a country plagued with waves of catastrophe that has repeatedly ravaged the land and brought disaster to its citizens for centuries. 4 heroes, respectively bestowed a sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield, are sent to vanquish these waves. Naofumi Iwatani, who was an otaku in his original life, has become cursed with the fate of being the shield hero. Armed with only a measly shield, Naofumi is belittled and ridiculed by his fellow heroes and the kingdom's people due to his weak offensive capabilities and lackluster personality. When the heroes are provided with resources and comrades to train with, Malfumi is sent out with the only person willing to train alongside him, Malti Melromark. He is soon betrayed by her and becomes falsely accused of taking advantage of her. Naofumi then becomes heavily discriminated against and hated by the people of Melromark for something he didn't even do. With a raging storm of hurt and mistrust in his heart, Naofumi then begins his journey of strengthening himself and his reputation. Further along his journey, the difficulties of being on his own begins to set in, so Naofumi buys a demi-human slave on the verge of death named Raphtalia to accompany him on his journey. As the waves of destruction approach the kingdom, Naofumi and Raphtalia must fight for the survival of the kingdom and protect the people of Melromark from their ill-fated future. Making way for the second spot on this list, we have Vinland Saga. Young Thorfinn grew up listening to stories of old sailors that has traveled the ocean and reached the place of legend known as Vinland Saga. It is to be warm and fertile, a place where there would be no need for fighting, not at all like the frozen village in Iceland where he was born, and certainly not like his current life as a mercenary. As the war between England and the Danes grew worse with each passing year, death has become a commonplace, and the Viking mercenaries are loving every moment of it. Since aligning with either side will cause massive swings in the balance of power, the Vikings are happy to make names for themselves and take any spoils that they earn along the way. This anime follows Thorfinn, as he is forced to take revenge and try and kill Askeladd, who is the one man who defeated his father. And finally, the #1 anime on this list is Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. 1 year has passed since the Black Rebellion, a failed uprising against the Holy Britannian Empire, led by a mass vigilant Zero, who is now missing. At a loss without their revolutionary leader, Area 11's resistance group, the Black Knights, finds himself powerless to combat the brutality inflicted upon the 11s by Britannia, which has significantly increased in order to crush all hopes of a future revolt. Lelouch Lamperouge, having lost all memory of his double life, is living peacefully alongside his friends as a high school student at Ashford Academy. His former partner, Cece, unable to accept the turn of the events, takes it upon herself to remind him of his past, hoping that by doing so, the Mastermind Zero would rise once again to finish what he has started. Well, there you have it, my top 10 anime where the main character gets betrayed and returns an overpowered anti-hero. If you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed it or found it helpful, consider subscribing to my channel, as I will be uploading new videos every week. Also, for more anime content, check out my TikTok page, which is now approaching 325,000 followers, where I post daily anime recommendations. Alright, with all that being said, until next time, signing out.